Hi all. So today I'm going to start up with the human excretory system that comes under the excretion and osmoregulation. Okay, so we are starting physiology now. I'll try to break down this particular excretion and osmoregulation into few set of subtopics, and I'll be releasing the videos for you all. Today we'll be seeing the introductory part for the excretion and osmoregulation, and later we'll be seeing about the modes of excretion. Okay, and in examination point of view, I think you have to actually remember some set of examples of the organisms or the animals which actually perform the different sorts of these excretory, what you call is excretion. Okay, the different modes of excretion, so you have to actually know well about the organisms example. So I'll try to give you few of the what you call is hints. I'll give you some of the simple suggestions, tricks how to remember these examples of the organisms. Okay, so right away I'm starting up my video now about the excretion and the osmoregulation process. So why are we learning about excretion? What is excretion actually? We all know that we are the living organisms and we have these metabolic reactions running in the body continuously, or you can call it as these are the set of chemical reactions that are running in your body, which involves catabolic reactions, the anabolic reactions, where you have to understand that the catabolic reactions are those where the molecules are broken down into the simpler forms and there will be release of energy. It is catabolic. So how will you remember catabolic? Cat, if you have cat as a pet in your house and if you allow it to play or to get onto your dining table, if the cat mistakenly tries to jump over the glassware, it breaks, right? So remember that cat breaks, it's going to be catabolic, is going to be the set of reactions which are going to break down the molecules, and they actually are exothermic in what you call is exothermic in process. Okay, they release energy for you. Okay, while the anabolic processes are going to be the building up processes. They are the building up processes. Since these are building up processes, they are going to actually take up the energy to build up these huge molecules from the simple molecule. So it's going to be anabolic is going to be something which involves in taking up the energy. So we call it as endothermic. Okay. So remember that I'm talking about that the organisms are continuously having these metabolic reactions running in the body, and these metabolic reactions are involving these catabolic as well as anabolic. Catabolic processes are those which are the breaking down processes which are releasing energy for us. We are having anabolic processes which are actually trying to build up the molecules or build up for you, and they are going to be endothermic in process. Okay, during these metabolic reactions or the chemical reactions, what happens is there are some byproducts released. Okay, there are some byproducts released. These byproducts are going to be like not suitable for you, or the excess amounts of these byproducts may not be suitable for you. So what we need to do is we have to get rid of this particular byproducts. Okay, so organisms are having the metabolic reactions running in the body. During these processes, there are some sort of byproducts produced which have to be actually removed from the body. Okay, so these metabolic waste, we call these byproducts produced during the metabolic reactions as metabolic waste. And the elimination or removal of these metabolic waste from the body is being called as excretion process. Okay, during these metabolic reactions, the byproducts released generally may be carbon dioxide, it might be the water molecules, it might be some sort of other what you call is nitrogenous waste products. It might be sometimes not only these, but also we see that there are some bipigments, some water soluble, excessive water soluble vitamins, some of the hormones are also needed to be removed from the body. Okay, are you getting it? So I'm telling you that we are trying to eliminate the metabolic waste which are released during the metabolic reactions. Okay, that might include the nitrogenous products like urea, that might be uric acid, that might be ammonia. Usually these have been released during the metabolism of the proteins, that is especially during the catabolism of the proteins, are breaking down of the proteins into the simple amino acids. You know that when you're breaking the bonds, it is going to be catabolic. So when during the catabolism of these proteins, amino acids are produced, okay? And these amino acids are, they undergo several set of reactions, and during this process the ammonia has been produced, okay, ammonia. And later we even see that since ammonia is very toxic to our body, we have to get rid of ammonia. So ammonia will be converted into urea during the ornithine cycle that we are going to see in the liver, okay? But just remember in the introductory part that we are having some metabolic activities, metabolic reactions running in the body involving catabolic as well as anabolic reactions. And these, during these reactions, there are some set of byproducts released, and the excessive, what you call is production of these byproducts, they can't be stored in the body. They have to be removed from the body. So the elimination of these metabolic waste is being called as the excretion process, okay? Usually they might be like carbon dioxide, like water. It might be nitrogenous products, and those nitrogenous products may be ammonia, urea, uric acid, it might be, okay? As well as we have to remember that there might be sometimes a few of these mineral salts, or it might be the water soluble, excessive water soluble vitamins, okay? Or it might be sometimes the hormones also have to be removed off from the body, okay? Let me, before I enter into my topic and explain you these things, let me share my screen to you and give you a depiction of metabolism and catabolism, such that this image may help you in remembering those processes well, okay? Let me come to this. You will understand this process, okay? So here you can see that in the catabolic process, cat means cat is going to break down, so it's a breakdown of bonds. And anabolic is going to be somewhere, you can see that they are the building up processes, okay? So it's catabolic process is breaking down process where the glycogen, I told you in the prior videos that when there is an adrenaline rush in the body, we see that the glycogen is going to be converted into glucoses. So glycogen is going to be, we have learned that this is a polysaccharide, if you remember, a branch structure it has when compared to that of the starch as well as the celluloses. So that glycogen bonds are being broken, and a simple monomer is being produced here, that is glucose, okay? During this process of breaking down of the bonds, there is release of energy. So we call this process as exothermic. I think you're understanding it, okay? Now, coming on to the anabolic process, we see that the glucose molecules in our diet, we actually ingest the food rich in carbs, and they get digested and digested into glucoses, the simpler forms, and the excessive glucoses will be stored for the future use in form of glycogen, while it is going to be stored in the form of starch and celluloses in the plants, while if it is going to be the animals, the glucoses, the simple molecules, the monomers are going to build up what you call is a polymer, that is the glycogen. And during this process, the bonds are being formed, and this process is going to actually take up the energy. So this is endothermic. It is consuming energy, while this is going to release the energy. So this is catabolic and this is anabolic. They togetherly come under metabolism or metabolic reactions. I think you understood this. And let me come and introduce you to another. Let me show you another depiction of anabolic character, where you can see that anabolism is about the building process. It is an endothermic process where you can see that simple monomers like glucoses are forming glycogen. Okay, so it is taking up the energy. It is endothermic process. Later you can see that the glycerol with the 3 fatty acid chains are going to form triglyceride. I introduced all these things in my previous videos of biochemistry, that is biological molecules. This is also an endothermic process, and the monomers like amino acids are chaining up to form a polymer like protein. So this is also an endothermic process. So anabolic reactions are this. So continuously in our body, there are these metabolic reactions are running, during which what happens is there are some metabolic waste produced, okay, the byproducts produced during this. So what are those are? Sometimes I told you it might be carbon dioxide, it might be urea, there might be some mineral salts produced, it might be water may be released during these catabolic or anabolic reactions, or it might be the bile pigments, especially formed during the breaking down of your hemoglobin from the dead worn out RBCs. You know that the lifespan of the RBCs is 120 days. So during this process, that is during the destruction of the worn out RBCs, the bile pigments from the breakdown of the hemoglobin, there are a set of bile pigments produced, okay, bilirubin and biliverdin. Okay, so these are the metabolic waste produced, and the carbon dioxide is being excreted through the lungs by the process of exhalation. And urea, I told you that proteins actually are undergoing catabolic reactions. When they undergo the catabolic reactions, urea is produced. I'll show you that, don't worry, but just remember that metabolism includes the anabolic catabolic reactions, during which there are some set of waste products produced, byproducts produced, which may not be or which should not be actually stored. If they are in excess, they are going to cause toxicity, so they have to be removed off from the body. We call it as excretion process, and these are the organs. The urea is being removed off through kidneys, and little amount of the urea as well as the salts are removed through skin. This is important, okay? So a bit of this urea along with the salts is removed through the skin through sweat, and urea and mineral salts are also released through kidneys through the process that from the urine, okay, through urine. And excess water is removed through urine, and skin is also removed of excess water in the form of sweat, and your lungs are trying to evaporate, that is send off the water vapor, that is through the air. We call it as through exhalation process. The air that we are going to exhale is going to actually have this water vapor, okay? And the bile pigments are being removed off by liver, and through the feces, through stools, we are going to remove off. So I think you children have understood what are these excretory products, what are the organs involved in removing of these different sort of excretory or the metabolic waste, okay? And let me come and show you to, like I told you about the urea, the uric acid, and the ammonia as the main nitrogenous products. I'll try to show you that such that you will understand what is the procedure. Okay, let me come to ammonia first. Ammonia, okay. So I told you that during the metabolic reactions, there are some nitrogenous waste products produced, and those nitrogenous products may be ammonia, maybe urea, maybe uric acid. It depends upon the organism, it depends upon the environmental condition it survives, it depends upon the habitat. So I every time stress in the lectures that we have to actually understand our environment, our ecology well, to understand an organism. To understand a particular organism, we need to go back to the genetics, and we need to go back to the epigenetics, where environment plays a major role in making you as an individual, okay? So the first sort of nitrogenous product I'm going to introduce you is going to be ammonia. And you know that the formula for ammonia is going to be NH3. Remember that during the amino acid, that is protein catabolism, there are amino acids removed off. That is, amino acids are going to be broke, that is, proteins are broken into amino acids. Let me show you, I have another cycle for this. You will get an idea regarding this over here. Yeah. See, this is a this particular thing is going to be the prime structure of an what you call is amino acid. This is a prime structure for amino acid. The proteins during the catabolism, breaking down of the proteins, they break down into amino acids. And this group, which has been called as a amine group from the amino acids, is going to be actually removed off. And this is going to form ammonia. Are you getting it? So during the catabolism of the proteins, amino acids are produced. This is a basic structure of the amino acid, where you can see that the amine group from these amino acids will be removed in form of ammonia. Okay. Now coming on to what happens is no, not this. Let me come to the ammonia metabolism, the protein metabolism. You'll get to understand that particular thing. Okay, let me come to this. Yeah. So if you check this particular image, yeah, you can see that the proteins present in the food materials are broken into amino acids. Amino acids may come into the anabolic processes, where they will be built up as proteins in the cell, where they may be used in formation of peptides in the organism. So some things are being built up from the amino acids, like proteins and peptides are being formed here. They are synthesizing, it's anabolic. Are some of the surplus excessive amino acids, what they are done is they are pushed into the catabolic ways, where they undergo the different processes, set of chemical processes. These are not important for us, but just remember that excessive amino acids, many of the amino acids are used in building process, while the surplus amino acids are being broken down and they are being converted into urea. They are being converted into urea. But remember that proteins are broken down into amino acids. I have shown you the amine group. That amine group is going to be released as ammonia. But remember, ammonia is very, very dangerous to us. It's highly toxic. It is when, if at all the ammonia is being stored, what it does is it is going to damage the adjacent tissues and cells, especially the nervous tissue. So we have to get rid of ammonia. Okay. So that ammonia will be converted into urea. That will be converted into urea. That cycle will be called as ornithine cycle. In the next coming videos, I'll be making a video about the ornithine cycle, where you will get an idea of that. The amine group released from amino acids is released as ammonia. That ammonia combines with carbon dioxide to form this less toxic, because ammonia is highly toxic. It damages your tissues. So that will be converted by reacting with the carbon dioxide into urea. Okay, so ultimately you're understanding that proteins are the ones which are forming the ammonia, and ammonia is toxic. It is converted into urea. Okay, let me show you another, that is uric acid. The third form that we are learning in our syllabi is going to be about the uric acid. Okay. So coming on to uric acid is the nucleic acids. In the last video, I have introduced you to the nucleic acids. So nucleic acids, when they undergo the catabolism, they are converted into uric acid, especially purine catabolism. Okay, purines and pyrimidines both togetherly. But remember that mostly the purine metabolism is involved in the production of the uric acid, production of this uric acid. I think you children now understood that protein catabolism is releasing ammonia, and ammonia is toxic. It is converted into urea in the liver, okay, in the ornithine cycle, by combining the ammonia with carbon dioxide. And we are you have to remember that your purines and pyrimidines, and especially purines, are the ones which are going to actually catabolize, and they are going to release this particular nitrogenous waste product called as a uric acid. I think you have understood how they are being produced. Okay, what is what is the sort of metabolic reactions that are involved in our body. Okay, so you have to remember that based on what sort of nitrogenous waste product the organism is trying to excrete, we are classifying the organisms based on that. Okay, so now we are getting introduced with the modes of excretion. Okay, if the organism's nitrogenous waste product that is getting excreted is going to be ammonia, then we are going to call those organisms as ammonotelic organisms, and we call that process as ammonotelism. Understood? So if the organisms are excreting the waste, nitrogenous waste product in form of ammonia, we should call it as ammonotelic organism. Coming on to, there is, because I introduced that proteins are broken into amino acids. In the amino acids, the amine group is readily made into ammonia. So it does not require any ATP consumption to release this particular ammonia. So that's the reason he is giving you that there is no energy required for the production, because it's just the amine group removed in form of ammonia from the amino acid. Okay, and coming on to this particular ammonia, see, there is a shortcut. I told you that for the examination point of view, I will be giving you some shortcuts and hints. Remember that this is NH4, NH3. So it looks like what? It looks like national highway. National highway. So in this highway, do you drive your car, or do you drive your vehicle in a slow speed? No. You have to just run away. Okay, you have to maintain some particular set, like reading of your speed. So you have to just run away, you have to just move away very quick, very quick. So national highway, you have to quickly move, and the ammonia release have to be quickly removed from the body, quickly removed, because the reason is it is going to be highly toxic. National highway, H for highly toxic to the body. It may damage the adjacent tissues, so it has to be removed. So to remove this particular ammonia, what we need is, we require excess amounts of water, and especially for 1 gram of this particular ammonia, we require some 500 ml of water. 500 ml of water. So imagine you need more water to just get rid of ammonia quickly. National highway is ammonia. Okay, highly toxic, and it catches up high speed. It has to be removed off from the body, and it is like soluble in the water, and that is removed off from the body. It might be through skin, through gills, they are going to remove it off. Okay, there's ammonia, and it is very, very toxic. So H for national highway, H for highly toxic, and it is requiring high water at a high speed. It is running. So NH3, H for 3, H3 I gave you. Okay, now coming on to, in the examination they ask you the examples of the organism. So how will you remember is, for me, the shortcut is bat and pat. Bat and pat. B is going to be the bony fishes. A is going to be the aquatic invertebrates, and T is going to be the tadpole larvae, and the aquatic invertebrates, even your protozoa comes under that. So you need to remember that. So animal groups which are going to excrete the nitrogenous waste products in form of ammonia are ammonotelic, and there is no need of ATP consumption. Okay, and it is highly toxic, and it requires high amounts of water, around 500 ml of water. It requires at a high speed. It has to be removed from the body. And the animals are the bony fishes, aquatic invertebrates, the tadpole larvae. Okay, I think you understood. Now coming on to another one, which is the ureotelic animals. The ureotelic animals are those animals which are the nitrogenous waste product that they are excreting is in form of urea. You know that proteins are catabolized into amino, that is amino acids, and if the amine group is removed as ammonia, and that ammonia is highly toxic, as you have seen. So that should be converted into less toxic form, and that less toxic form is urea. I told you that this happens in your liver in a cycle called as ornithine cycle, that we will see later. Okay, but remember that the energy, yeah, it consumes the ATP molecules to actually produce this urea from ammonia. Okay, it requires ATP molecules. So that's the reason he has given you the moderate. Okay, now coming on to the amount of water is only 50 ml of water is required to actually get rid of 1 gram of urea from the body. So it's not much when compared to that of ammonia. And coming on to the toxicity is very low, so there is no need to just rush quickly and remove it off from the body. So what you can do is you can just store it for a period of time. You can just store it for a period of time, and it is stored in a dilute form, and that is going to be called as your urine. So urea is diluted, can be stored in the bladder in form of urine. Okay, now coming on to the examples of these animals is, you need to remember ft square m square. ft square m square. So F stands for frog. If you're not remembering, you should never write as fish. Okay, you can just remember fro t square m square. Fro t square m square, where fro stands for frog and t square stands for your turtles, your toads, and m square stands for both m's. One is going to be the mammalians, and the other sort of like these m stands for your marine fishes. Marine fishes. Okay, I think you have understood this. Ft square m square is going to be the frog. Okay, that is the amphibians what he gave. T square is turtles and toads, mammalians, as well as the marine fish are the examples for the euryotelic organisms. Next, coming on to uricotelism, where it's going to be the excretory product or the nitrogenous waste material is in form of uric acid. Okay, so ammonia only. So remember again, proteins to amino acids and the amine group into converted into ammonia. That ammonia can either be converted into urea or it can be converted into uric acid. Okay, not only that, that is ionosinic pathway. But I introduced you in the previous image that the nucleic acid metabolism, especially purine catabolism, the breakdown of the purines and pyrimidines, okay, it might be the purine catabolism is going to actually release this uric acid. But sometimes there are like the failure in the metabolism of this particular uric acid. Sometimes what happens is the uric acid gets struck up, or it gets deposited inside the joints, and it leads to a very severe pain, and that condition is being called as gout. I will show you one of the image. Okay, so remember that uric acid is produced either from the ammonia in the ionosinic pathway. Okay, it requires more amount of ATP molecules. Here it is only few ATPs. Here it does not require any ATP. This requires more ATP. And coming on to this is it requires very less water. You know, it is not toxic at all. Okay, not toxic. It can be stored in the body. It can be stored in the body. Okay, this is going to require very little water. Only 10 ml of water required to remove it off. There is 1 gram of uric acid. Coming on to the toxicity is very low when compared to that of the ammonia and the urea. And the way you remember this is RBI, Reserve Bank of India. So Reserve Bank of India is nothing but reptiles, birds, insects. What is LS? LS is lizards and snakes. RBI, LS is going to be the shortcut method for your examination, because remember that these examples are very important for you to remember. The amount of the water, which requires more energy. This requires more energy to be produced. It either can be produced from the ammonia, it can either be produced by the nucleic acid catabolism or the purine catabolism. Okay, and I told you that if the failed metabolism, sometimes what happens is, if the uric acid is not excreted, if it gets deposited in the joints of the bones, we call that condition as a gout. I'll show you this image. This is a particular sort of condition where the joints, here we are seeing that it's a gout because of the deposition of these uric acid crystals. This condition is being called as that is deposition of the uric acid crystals in the joints is called as what? As a gout. Okay, I think now you understood what is metabolic reaction and what are the two processes involved in it, and what are metabolic ways, what is excretion. What is excretion? It is removal of the nitrogenous waste or metabolic waste from the body is called as what? Excretion. You have learned about modes of excretion, three types: the that is sorry, uricotelic, and it's going to be the ammonotelic, ureotelic. These are the ones you have learned about the metabolism of how proteins getting converted into amino acids. Amino is removed of ammonia, okay, and ammonia is getting converted into less toxic in the liver. It might be the urea or it might be the uric acid. And now coming on to, I think I have to introduce you with let me show you any, if I have any, yeah, the other slides. So these are the nitrogenous ways I wanted you to remember: the urea, the protein metabolism byproduct it is going to be, because the proteins broken down into amino acids, amino group is being removed off, that forms ammonia. That is in the liver, it is getting converted into urea because ammonia is toxic for you, and ammonia itself is converted into uric acid, or sometimes a nucleic acid metabolism, that is purine catabolism. Pyrimidine catabolism is going to release uric acid. These you need to remember, okay? This is very important. So I just wanted to show you that what are the three main major nitrogenous products, and based on that we are trying to classify organisms into different sorts, okay? I think now you people have got a clear-cut picture about the excretion, the definition, what are the nitrogenous products, what are the different other excretory products, what are the other organs which are involving in removing off those set of things, okay? Now coming on to, I have told you that ammonia is getting converted into urea, right? The amino acid, this is amino acids metabolic, protein catabolism, okay? So remember, ammonia release, that is amino group from the amino acid is removed as ammonia. That ammonia clubs with the carbon dioxide to produce what? Urea. Okay, this is the one that you need to remember. I want you to remember only this step, that amino acids, amino group is getting converted into ammonia. And you will remember National Highway 3 is going to be for, you have seen it, highly soluble, highly toxic at a high speed, removed off. And with the carbon dioxide, your NH3 is going to get converted into urea. I hope I I have put my efforts to make it very, very clear and in a very short way. And I have given you the shortcuts to remember your organism examples also. Now, coming on to, let me introduce you with what is osmoregulation. See, what is osmoregulation? Many children, they go into a doubt of explaining what is osmoregulation. Excretion is, we are removing the metabolic waste. Okay. Then what is osmoregulation? Is nothing but we are trying to maintain the water as well as a salt concentration in the body. It's a very short thing to remember. Okay. Sorry. So osmoregulation is regulating the levels or the concentration of water and salts. So in order to make you children remember what is osmoregulation throughout the life, I am trying to give you this image so you remember. This image is important and this is going to help you remember. I'm showing you here osmoregulation in fish. In fish, how will you remember is, what we need to do is we need to maintain the levels of the water and salts. Okay, this is the first point you need to remember. First come to the saltwater fish. Okay, this is living in salt water. Salt water means marine water. Marine water means they have excess salts, and the amount of the water present is going to be, I'm not speaking about the volume of water, I'm speaking about the salt concentration dissolved in the water is very high. Okay, so the water concentration is going to be less, whereas the salt concentration is very high. But when you compare to that of the fish living here, when compared to that of the external water, the salt percentage in the fish is going to be less, obviously. Okay, and the water compared to this is going to be higher. Okay, so the amount of the salt dissolved is going to be very less here, while the salt is more. Remember that when there is high and low categories. So in order to make it equal, so high and low, okay, high and low. So what we need to do is we need to bring it to equilibrium. We need to bring it to equilibrium. Just remember that. So in order to make them equilibrium, the higher concentration have to get poured up and they have to be brought into the equilibrium. So now check here, what happens is, in order to make the water concentration equal in the fish and in the to that of the external water, what happens is, where is the water molecule, where is the water more, it's more in the fish. So now in order to make it equal, what it has to do, where is it, where the water concentration is high, the water concentration is more here, so it has to pour up some water out. Okay, so that is the reason we are seeing that it is trying to pour up the water through the gills out. So he has given you osmotic water lost through gills, okay, and other body parts like skin it might be. So it is losing water. When it is losing water, what happens? The amount of the water gets decreased. So the amount of the salt is going to be more. So the salt concentration is increasing here, right? Because water is pushed out, what happens is the salt concentration gradually increases. So what it does is, it is going to actually excrete that particular increasing salt with little water. So it's going to be very concentrated urine, very concentrated urine. So we call it as scanty urine, very small amounts, because water was being lost. In order to make the levels equal, from high to the low, the molecules will be moving from high to the low, from high to the low. So high is here, so the water is being pushed to the low concentration here. So now what happens is, the water is being lost over here, and as it is losing water, the salt concentration is increasing. What happens is, it is going to actually excrete the scanty urine, which has a very little water but a very good amount of salt. Okay, so what it does is, here it is going to gain the water and the salt ions food back through food. And what it does is, it has to overcome the loss of the water here. So what it does is, it drinks water. It drinks water. I hope you're understanding it. Okay, it drinks water. Now let us come to the freshwater fish. You know that in osmoregulation, we need to maintain the levels of the water and salt. Okay, since it is fresh water, the amount of the salt will be very less. So amount of salt in the fish is more when compared to that of the surrounding water. Okay, here the water is high, but as the salt is more here, the level of the water concentration is less in the fish. So you know the rules that it has to be moved from high to low, high to low. So now what happens is, the water should be pushed into the fish body. So that will be by, what happens is, it is going to what you call is, the water is less, the water is higher. So now what is happening is, the uptake of water and salts is through the body surface, okay, or through the gills. So this freshwater fish, what it does is, it is trying to take up the water to make the equal levels of the water concentration through gills and the body surface. It is going to take up the water. Okay, as the water is increasing in the body, the salts are going to get diluted. As the water is going to increase, the salts are going to get diluted. As it is going to get diluted, it is going to excrete a diluted urine with a large amounts of the water, because continuously there is movement of water into the body. Have you understood? There is continuous flow of water, and it is going to excrete off it through the diluted urine. Okay, but remember that they get the water and water and salts only through the food. They do not drink water. Freshwater fishes do not drink water, because they're getting water surplus through the body surface as well as the gills here. Okay, while here, if you're going to see, it is drinking water because it was losing its water. Okay, since it was losing water, salt concentration increasing, it is going to go the concentrated urine, the scanty urine here. Have you understood? This is osmoregulation. So remember, during the examination point of view, just remember these fishes the way I have explained you about the water and salts. So it is about the regulation of the water and salt levels is being called as the osmoregulation. I think you have understood this one. Okay. So now coming on to the last thing, children, for important for your examination point of view, I want you to please just go through this particular table. This is going to help you, and this is important for you to remember what are the different sort of excretory organs based on the different animals that you have learned in your syllabi. Okay, if it is a protozoans, it is going to just use their plasma membrane, that is plasma lemma, through which the excretory products will be diffused out. If it is going to be the sponges and the coelenterates, it is their body surface through diffusion. If it is platyhelminths, the flatworms, it is going to be through the flame cells. Okay. If it is annelidans, it is through nephridia. If it is arthropod, it is through malphigian tubules. And the spiders through the coxal glands. And the main excretory organs in almost the vertebrates is going to be kidney. Okay. And the crustaceans like prawns are going to have green glands. This particular table becomes utmost important for you, the examination point of view. Okay, you have to remember this. So just go through this table also. Okay, I think children, I have made it clear for you all regarding the excretion, the osmoregulation process, the different modes of excretory, that is excretion, and different organism examples, okay, and what is the catabolism, anabolism. I think you have understood what are the different sort of like these, what you call is a set of these organisms and procedures, what is osmoregulation. I hope I made it clear for you all, children. Please, if you understood this and if you felt easy, if you felt happier listening to this, and if you could understand 100%, and if I could make this topic easier for you, please like, share, and subscribe my channel, because this channel has to reach to many of the children who actually are in need of such type of what you call is like are in search of the knowledge where they're not able to afford. So please try to share my channel to many of the children who can actually get exposed to such type of information. Okay, I hope you people will try to do that. Okay, thank you very much, thank you so much, and we will meet in the next video, okay, of the physiology, that is human excretory system.